New details on that upside-down Delta crash at Toronto's airport last month. Canadian authorities say a landing gear support broke as the plane was landing, and then that crash ended up ripping off a wing, ending with the plane rolling upside down, spraying jet fuel all over.
A Delta Airlines flight got involved in a serious accident while landing at Toronto Pearson International Airport. The plane turned upside down and caught fire, and that's when things took a terrible turn.
Facts of the matter around this event that happened at approximately 2:30 p.m. is Delta Airlines Flight 4819 from Minneapolis to Toronto, operated by subsidiary Endeavour Air, was involved in a single aircraft accident upon landing at Toronto Pearson.
Before we get into the story, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more unremarkable plane crashes in history. On February 25th, 2025, Delta Flight 4819 was flying from Minneapolis to Toronto. The flight had 80 passengers on board, including passengers and crew members. As the plane approached the runway, it landed too hard, which caused it to flip upside down. The moment the plane hit the ground, there was a loud noise, and many passengers felt a sudden jolt. It all happened very quickly, and the situation was frightening for everyone on board. Fortunately, the flight attendants acted quickly and calmly, helping passengers to evacuate the plane as soon as it came to a stop. Out of 80 passengers, 21 individuals suffered injuries during the incident.
It is a preliminary report, but it provides a detailed timeline leading to the crash landing last month that sent more than 20 passengers to hospital, and it points to a rapid descent.
These injuries varied in severity, with some people experiencing minor cuts and bruises, while others had more serious injuries that required medical attention. The injuries were mainly caused by the sudden impact of the plane hitting the ground too hard and the chaos that followed as the plane flipped over and caught fire. Emergency responders arrived quickly at the scene to help those who were injured. They provided immediate medical care and ensured that everyone was safe. Many of the injured passengers were taken to nearby hospitals for further treatment. Medical teams worked hard to assess the injuries and provide the necessary care to help the passengers recover. Despite the frightening experience, the fact that there were no fatalities is a testament to the quick actions of the flight crew and the emergency services. The passengers who were injured received the help they needed, and many were able to share their stories of survival after the crash. Many passengers shared their experiences after the crash, describing how scared they felt during the incident. Some said they could see smoke and flames as they exited the plane, which made the situation even more alarming.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Despite the chaos, the crew's training and quick thinking helped to keep everyone as safe as possible. After the plane crash, an investigation began to find out what caused the accident, as this incident draws parallels with historical events, particularly the Delta Flight 191 accident in 1985, which resulted in significant fatalities due to a combination of adverse weather conditions and pilot error. In both cases, the aftermath highlighted the importance of effective emergency response protocols and the functionality of safety equipment. In the Toronto crash, the pilots faced difficulties exiting the cockpit through the emergency hatch, a situation reminiscent of past incidents where evacuation procedures were tested under extreme conditions. The challenges encountered during these emergencies underscore the necessity for comprehensive training for flight crews, ensuring they are well prepared to handle unexpected scenarios. Investigators from various agencies, including aviation safety experts and government officials,
76 passengers and 4 crew members narrowly escaped disaster after Delta 4819 skids down the runway at over 100 miles per hour, flips upside down, and bursts into flames.
are working together to gather information and understand what went wrong. One of the first steps in the investigation is to examine the crash site. Investigators look for clues on the ground and around the plane to see if there were any mechanical problems or other issues that contributed to the crash. They carefully analyze the wreckage to understand how the plane landed and why it flipped over. Another important part of the investigation is reviewing the flight data recorder, often called the black box. This device records important information about the flight, such as the plane's speed, altitude, and the actions of the pilots. By studying this data, investigators can get a clearer picture of what happened during the landing and if there were any unusual readings before the crash. Weather conditions at the time of the landing are also being looked at closely. Investigators want to know if the weather played a role in the hard landing. They check reports on wind speed, visibility, and any other factors that could have affected the flight.
We do begin with these harrowing new images tonight of that Delta jet crash at Toronto's Pearson Airport. Investigators are now reviewing this new video of Delta Flight 4819 making a hard landing on the right landing gear right there, erupting in flames and then thick black smoke.
Understanding the weather conditions helps to determine if they contributed to the accident. Additionally, investigators are examining the plane's maintenance records. They want to ensure that the aircraft was properly maintained and that all safety checks were completed before the flight took off. If there were any mechanical issues, it is important to find out if they were known and if they were addressed. The pilot's actions during the landing are also under scrutiny. Investigators will interview the flight crew to understand their decisions and actions leading up to the crash. They will look into their training and experience to see if there were any factors that might have influenced their performance. The investigation into the Delta plane crash will closely examine the functionality of emergency equipment on board, as this aspect is crucial for ensuring passenger safety during emergencies. One significant issue that arose during the incident was the inability of the pilots to open the cabin door after the crash. This forced them to escape through the emergency hatch located on the ceiling of the cockpit. The hatch's position, combined with the plane's overturned state, complicated the evacuation process and required assistance from a passenger to facilitate their exit. The effectiveness of the evacuation procedures will also be a key focus of the investigation. It is essential to assess how well the flight crew coordinated during the emergency and whether they followed established protocols. The training that pilots and crew members receive for handling such situations will be scrutinized to determine if they were adequately prepared for the challenges they faced during the crash.
The latest now on the investigation into the plane crash in Toronto. Investigators are reviewing video of the moment the jet touched down, erupted in flames before ending up on its back.
Investigators will look into whether the crew's actions were in line with best practices and if any gaps in training contributed to the difficulties experienced during the evacuation. Additionally, a thorough evaluation of all emergency equipment will be conducted, including the functionality of safety belts, emergency slides, and other safety devices. Ensuring that all emergency equipment is operational and easily accessible is vital for passenger safety in critical situations. The investigation will also explore whether there were any pre-existing issues with the emergency equipment that could have hindered the evacuation process. In the immediate aftermath of the crash, survivors often experience shock and disbelief. Many individuals may develop PTSD, characterized by flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety, which can persist for months following the incident. In addition to PTSD, increased anxiety levels and depressive symptoms are common among passengers after a crash.
We just landed. Our plane crashed. It's upside down. Fire department's on site. Upside down. Everybody, most people appear to be okay.
This can lead to a fear of flying, making it difficult for individuals to consider air travel in the future. Some survivors may also experience feelings of guilt for having survived when others did not, complicating their emotional recovery and contributing to further psychological distress. The crash can also trigger collective trauma, affecting not only those directly involved, but also the general public. As the investigation continues, the goal is to gather all the facts and evidence to create a complete picture of what happened. Once the investigation is finished, the findings will be shared with the public and the aviation industry. This information is crucial for improving safety measures and preventing similar accidents in the future.